Welcome. Today I have two phenomenal Toastmasters here with me to talk about Treasury and the challenges of opening a bank account, taking money, and of course, my favorite topic, Concur. I'm your host, Linda Patton. I am the District Finance Officer for D57. Relatively new as a Toastmaster, definitely not new as a treasurer. I've been running associations for probably the last 35 years and have been in and out and around and about everything from conferences to just plain membership to nonprofit organizations and how to make them happen. The fun thing about now is that we've had to step into the digital age, and that creates some very interesting questions. So I brought together two experts on Treasury. The first one is Chris Cavani, who has been in the financial industry for 44 years. She was 2 when she started. Chris, you and I probably had about the same amount of time. I started with Bank of America and then Crocker. So I know whereof you speak. Chris has also been a treasurer for her club since its opening in 2005. So needless to say, Chris has a deep and abiding understanding of finance, treasury, and basically how to get the most out of your banking experience. I love the fact that she's here and she's got some really great things to talk about in our next video, where we're going to talk more about payment structure. The other wonderful individual is a very dear friend of mine, Michelle Peticolas, Dr. Michelle Peticolas, who is currently the treasurer at Heart to Heart and the brand new club that we opened, Leaders Worldwide. While Michelle doesn't have a deep understanding of Treasury, she has probably one of the fastest learning curves ever, because she had to learn not only how to deal with the Treasury, but she also had to deal with how do we deal with a Treasury in shelter in place, with international payments, and a chartering club. And needless to say, she hit the ground running and was amazing at what she was able to accomplish with our two clubs. And I'm really blessed to have both of them here with us today. We are actually going to run 3 different videos. One is on how to open a bank account, where to go to find one that might fit your needs as far as fees and that kind of thing. Chris has an expertise in how do we get paid, and she knows all of the applications possible. And then I am going to talk about Concur and what you can and cannot do with that wonderful process. So today, which one of you would like to start? Chris or Michelle?
Well, I can start and talk about what it was like to take over the treasurer role after the woman in our club had been in charge of the treasury for, oh my gosh, probably almost since the inception of the club. And how I got roped into that was that I was president of the club, and we decided that it was really important to have more than one person on that bank account if anything should happen to that person. And our treasurer was getting more advanced in her age. And it's just a good idea anyway. So I got put on the account. I went through that process and I had a card. So it made obvious sense for me to take over the treasurer's role when we were up for new officers. And it was clear that our treasurer was really having challenges with the number of people we were putting into our club to prepare for the opening of a new club. I mean, it was just too many, and she didn't know how to do it. And our poor VP of membership was trying to walk her through it, and it was taking hours. So I took up the slack, and I had to figure out, thank goodness, Linda, you helped me to get on PayPal. And then I called the bank that we were already in to find out how to take checks and put them in through my cell phone, which was amazing. I have to say this particular bank was already in the works, but I was really impressed with it. They were super helpful. And that part of it was simple. The other part with PayPal, PayPal's fine, but it seems like Christine has some other ideas about how to go about getting paid that doesn't charge a fee. Now, we wanted to use PayPal as opposed to having people pay directly into Toastmasters so that we would make sure that people also paid their club dues. And by sending out invoices or a quick link, which I also had for people who had PayPal, we could get paid for both. And we charged them the fee, the PayPal fee. But I really like the idea of also having options in which they don't have to pay that fee.
Well, and Michelle, you also ran into the challenge of, we had overseas individuals, people who are not in the United States, who didn't have PayPal. And what were some of the avenues that we had for those individuals?
Well, some of the avenues is other people would pay for them who did have PayPal account or at least had a credit card. And it was, if you had a credit card, you could pay with PayPal without having a PayPal account, but only if your country actually had an agreement with PayPal. If they didn't, it wouldn't work. So the other way is that if they had a credit card but didn't have that relationship, their country didn't have that relationship with PayPal, we would have them signed up directly at the time that we started the club, that we simply had their credit card information. And I guess we put it in, we submitted them just like any of our other dual members. Is that correct, Linda?
Yes, we did. And we only had challenges with one, and he still owes us the $6 for our club dues because we haven't been able to maneuver his money. It happened after the club was chartered. So it's actually on the club now to collect that money.
Right. So I'm curious to find out if either of those two apps that Christine's going to tell you about might be the way to take care of getting those club dues. And the club dues are really important. This is, if you're starting a new club, at least in the bank that I worked with, you need to have a deposit of $100. And most of the people that we transferred we transferred them from Heart to Heart to Leaders Worldwide. They didn't take any of their money over there. And so we actually need to think about whether we can share some of the club dues that they paid to Heart to Leaders Worldwide so that they have that $100 to open up the account.
The challenge, Michelle, is that money was used for our chartering fee. And so it's gone. So we need to look at another way that we can collect money or bring money into the club. And so, Chris, you have some phenomenal ideas for what we can do and what applications there are on your phone or on your computer that can help mitigate this, right?
Right. So we already talked about PayPal, and I'll be honest with you, just like you, Michelle, it's not my favorite because it does charge. But PayPal put out another app called Venmo, V-E-N-M-O, and you can go right on your phone, go to the Apple Store or wherever you pick up your applications and download the application. And after you put in all the information, your name, your phone number, email, whatever it is that they're looking for, your phone number, then you designate the account that ultimately will receive the funds when it's transferred to you. So if I'm sending my money to you, including the $45 for the 6 months of membership dues, plus your club dues, ours happens to be $4, so it would be a total of $49. I can go into Venmo, I find you in the application, I search for you, and you have to be careful because you want to make sure that there aren't people with 2 of the same names. Happened to me, somebody sent it to me and it ended up with another Chris Scrivani. Just find the person or even ask them what their avatar is, what the picture they have. You put their name in, you send the money, you tell what amount you want to send, and you hit pay. They'll ask you, are you confirming this? What are you paying for? You can put in Toastmasters and you send it. I get notified that there's a payment coming to me and you're notified on your email that you've sent the money. I would go into my Venmo account and request that they transfer the money to my bank account, and I will have the choice of either sending it immediately, which would charge me, or choosing the 1 to 3 day option, and there's no charge. And it gets directly into my bank account. I have to request that. For Zelle, which is another one of my favorite, it is a bank application. And most of us have online banking. And Michelle, you indicated you did because you do the video deposit or the mobile deposit. You go into your bank and you look for options to pay. And most of the federally chartered banks have the option to pay via Zelle. Same thing, you go in there, you search for the person that you want to send it to. And they may or may not be a member of Zelle. That's where you have to work out the details for them to do the same thing at their bank side. But let's say I'm going to pay Michelle. I go into my account at the bank that I bank with, and I put in that I want to send my payment via Zelle because I could do a bill pay, but I'm going to do Zelle. And I select Zelle. I put in Michelle's name or Linda, your name, and I indicate the same thing, how much I want to send. And I hit send. And different than Venmo, that money is in my account within maybe 5 minutes. And I get notification that this money is coming to me. Those are my two favorite ways to get the money to us quickly. We've already talked about the credit card option. I'm not going to go into that one because I think that everybody knows that they can pay via credit card. We can take their credit card payment. But in this digital age, the more that we can do things electronically, those last two between Venmo and Zelle are probably the best options we have.
And PayPal, I believe, has another one called the Cash App, which
I have never used that one.
Yeah,
In
I
my
want to say
opinion,
it's between individuals,
Mhm.
and I know because I have people who pay me and I pay them. The interesting thing is, like Venmo, you can have it done instantly and pay a fee, or you can say, no, I'll do it,
Mhm.
standard, and it takes about 3 to 5 days for it to drop into your account. So it also works as well. Again, the challenge is, does everyone have that? Can they use it, and that kind of thing. I love the idea of Zelle because it is instantaneous, and so the club gets its money right away. Now, I guess the question is, is there any difference? I think the Cash App is between people as opposed to between businesses and individuals. Does Zelle have any kind of
You sign up as an individual because you're in control of it. And if you're a signer on a business account, then you are the person that's in control. So
Okay.
you would go in, put the Venmo under your name. And remember, if you're doing it strictly for Toastmasters, don't do it for yourself personally. If you do it for yourself personally, you're going to have to transfer money between the two accounts. So when you first set up the Venmo or the Zelle, you would indicate what account you want the money credited.
right?
That's an upfront setup.
And so, Chris, you can't, as an individual, even if you're doing it for a business, you can't have two different accounts with your name on them. Is that correct?
I have not seen where you can,
Okay. All right.
but I could
That-
be wrong.
Yeah. It would be something to check out, obviously. And Chris, I think I remember you saying that you had multiple clubs that you were treasurer of. Is that true?
In the past, I was, not anymore.
Okay.
Oh, I'm multiple treasurers for different organizations. So I
Okay.
have not for Toastmasters.
Okay. But Michelle, you're the treasurer.
Well,
for different
yes,
clubs.
I am, although I haven't done any treasury work for the new club yet because we don't even have a bank account, which I'm hoping we're also going to talk about is where do you want to put your bank account if you don't have a bank account? What
Mhm.
are the options and what kind of information do you need?
Yes, that is the next topic for our
Awesome.
coffee chat. So did you have anything else that you wanted to share with the audience today on how do we get paid? What are the best ways to make that happen?
Well, I think that we can't ignore the fact that some people don't want to send money electronically.
True.
And I think we have to respect that. Whether there's somebody that still wants to pay in cash, you can meet them at some corner and they can pass you the money, or you can send a check. because some people prefer not to use electronic. They're afraid of whatever is out there that may interfere with the sending of the money. They can send the check directly to the treasurer's house, and you can make that deposit, mobile or otherwise, into the
Right.
account you want. Those are still great options, and they can still pay by their credit card. However, you're absolutely correct. They can't pay the club dues via credit card. They're still going to have to pay that separately. And I think the reason I don't like using that is because it's harder to collect the club fees remotely than it is if their convenience is credit card and that's the one they want to use. It's going to be a while before you can collect the club dues.
I
Absolutely.
think that, Chris, that's one of the reasons why these other options, if the money goes into the account, the bank account for the club, then they do get the membership payment. And so they give you they can give you the credit card. Well, actually they can't. Even with PayPal, I send them an invoice and then they give the invoice to PayPal. And then the other part of the step, which we didn't talk about, my bank provides me with a debit card, and I use that to pay for their membership payment
Correct.
on Toastmasters International.
Right. That's the second piece of it. We want to get the money first. And
Yes.
then we get it to, because if it goes into your Toastmaster account that you've established for your club, you're collecting that money. You still have to pay Toastmaster International. And you're absolutely correct. Get that debit card all the time, because that's the way that you will pay those dues.
And Michelle, did you say the debit card was from PayPal or from your bank account?
It's from the bank account.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought. I mean, I know PayPal does issue credit cards, but you're transferring the money from PayPal to your bank account. And so
That's
you're paying
correct.
that way. Okay, all right. Any other
I have no other
words of
thoughts.
wisdom for how do we get our money? All right, with that, I'm going to say goodbye for this episode, and we'll be back soon with our second episode around how do we open a bank account, where do we open a bank account, and what are we looking for? And then our third video will be around Concur. So stay tuned and we'll be back.